Ladies, gentlemen, gents, we're here to have a really interesting conversation on what xMoney is up to. Progress, the vision, the steps, and so on. And I'm here with my esteemed colleagues, Dr. Greg and Lucian, Dr. Lucian, and myself, Dr. Beniamin. The joke aside, I think this is a really great opportunity to share some of the progress that has been happening, to recognize some of the steps, investments, and so on that have been made for years now, and map some of the steps that are interesting and exciting on where we're heading. So to do this, maybe we'll start with the kind of almost xMoney origin context and so on. And maybe I'll invite you, Lucian, to share a bit where we started from, what xMoney wanted to do at first, and then perhaps we'll transition to Greg a bit and discuss where we are and where we're aiming to go.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do so. So maybe I'll share a brief story, maybe unrelated to what the initial or the official plan was at the beginning, but rather to a crazy story with lawyers. Again, it's funny enough because this is a very regulated space. The discussion was me a bit researching what kind of capabilities this licenses would have, and how this, if I would be unrelated to everything that we would do with this infrastructure in practice, but then where this could go towards and how this could be actually serve what we're doing and actually where we come from, which is MultiversX as an ecosystem, our home. And also, so building that actually was looking a bit to the licenses tech and the capabilities. It was that electronic money, in my simple understanding at the time, was a representation of in a digital form of a balance of a digital account of money. Now, this was, I think, 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, before the entire scene was actually become the hottest thing, which is stable coins and digital payments and blockchains becoming the rails for that. That was actually stuff that if I would have to translate it in simple practice, I was trying to discuss with the lawyers and said, look, I think that in practice, if the representation happens into a database, the only annotation to this would be a closed database or a public database. What if the database is actually a public one? Anyway, so that was actually the initial, very just with an eye to look where it could go and how it could serve us. But now, going back, actually, we started, I think, again, five years ago already, the initial discussion and exploration of how this industry as Web3 could actually benefit and what would be actually the next step in terms of adoption and meaningful adoption in any sense for any kind of blockchain architecture. If it was MultiversX, if it would be any kind of technology, what good is a public or a decentralized database if it is a lonely island, if it is not connected actually to retail, to the users, to customers, to businesses that can make use of it. And especially now, in order, what I mean by use of it is the financial connectivity to those kind of industries. And by that, actually, we start researching, looking closely what could be a potential first step towards that. And after carefully reviewing the options in the market, actually, we ended up going into an entire thorough due diligence process with several companies, several important infrastructure companies that could actually achieve that mission. And we ended up actually with TwistPay. So at that time, actually being the first part of the puzzle that actually had also, if I'm not mistaken, the license number 1 in the country. that is actually an electronic money license, particularly that can do also with an eye to how the story started. It happened to be actually a potential towards that. However, so going through that, actually the back to how the process went, I think it was a very thorough process of reviewing everything, going into a lot of due diligence in terms of regulatory frameworks, capabilities, acquiring and attaching and creating this business, actually, and also seeing the potential of transitioning and transforming this business to a very lucrative, real business that will serve this mission. Now, I think this was a very brief story for the first part. While doing that, and I'll then give the mic again back to you, gentlemen. So while doing that, so we ended up maybe sharing a bit of the truth or the honest grassroots story with the regulators. Of course, they also did the very thorough due diligence on us. This was not only us on what we wanted to acquire. Actually, I would say almost more it was on us as well, who, if we are eligible to actually acquire the only license that was operating at the time in the country for this particular segment. And by doing that, actually, of course, we had a lot of step backs, a lot of challenges. I mean, and by a lot, almost in every single step, this was not a favored position for us. Funny enough, we were never the favorite kid, so to say, but we managed actually to pull this off, to complete perfectly almost every single step. And then by doing so, actually, we ended up with one open point. Of course, the regulator said, yeah, cool, you're allowed to do actually what this license is. But at that time, crypto was the biggest red flag for the authorities. So they said, but at any point of time, you would not be too much allowed to touch crypto with this license. So we actually ended up going back to the drawing board, completing the solution and researching what are the next regulatory steps actually needed to complete this kind of solution, where we ended up acquiring the second company and attaching it to the group already, so to say, which actually completed the framework where both of the crypto world and the fiat world would be translated into a unified stack. This is a very brief story. I think of course, this originated, and I think it's already live, and MultiversX as where it started from. And I think with the progress that we have been making in the last years already, I would say not only months but years back, I think finally we're at a very good point where the discussion can be brought a lot more weighted to what we're doing today, to what actually brings back to those ecosystems, to this industry. And for that, actually, I'm just pausing and giving you the mic.
Maybe I'll just summarize and translate for the simple people or the general audience that is around the world or wherever they may be. First of all, I think it's a really great day where we're in a position with xMoney to have 2 regulated licenses in Europe under MiCA that give us some options that very few companies have in Europe and around the world. That is a really great point. And starting with that makes it very simple, because then you need to think, how did this start? And as Lucian was mentioning, Elrond was this idea that we're building the sort of most advanced blockchain to take it to create the infrastructure for a new financial system. And so when you think, how do you bring that financial system from the abstract to the concrete world around us? The question was, is there a way to take this and put it in the real market, in the real payments world? And so this was our journey, where unlike any other maybe crypto institution, crypto network, we've taken the hard road of having all these difficult conversations with the regulators, with the type of people that look very thoroughly at everything that we're doing, and then passing those, receiving the licenses, being able to acquire both the TwistPay brand and the
Trust.
UTrust brand, and transforming them into xMoney. And xMoney, simplifying everything, is this idea that, or started with this idea that you should do crypto payments and fiat payments. And you should just be able to do them better, faster, simpler than some of the alternatives in the world. Now, we've come a long way, many years of just refining, iterating, having conversations with the regulators, changing everything, and then also changing the entire team in a way where we can execute, we can have growth, and we can attack some parts in the markets that we could not. And this is what brings us also to Greg, because he has done payments before. He has done also crypto before. He has played both from the market side with investment funds and hedge funds and so on, but was also in the academia, like a teacher and professor, university professor, and so on, and doctor in economics. This is a very interesting part of the conversation that brings us to maybe where we are today. And we're, in some sense, stating one big thing, namely that this entire process, with all the investment we've done, all the journey we've been through with you guys, wherever you are, we're extremely grateful for that. And we very much appreciate that type of support. And I think you'll very much love the steps that you've seen up until this point with Greg and the team and everything that we've been doing, but then even more growth actually happening and taking shape. And maybe I'll invite Greg to share a bit his view on where we are, what he sees as the assets and opportunities that we have, and maybe also what growth means, because perhaps everyone wants growth, whether that's in terms of revenue, that's in terms of money coming in, that's in terms of ecosystem growing. Maybe that's the most important reason for any sort of company or project. But curious to hear your thoughts, Greg, and it's great to have you actually in the conversation with us.
Thank you, Beniamin and Lucian. And I have to say that, I'm super honored to be part of this community. And to be honest, the first thing that struck me when I met Lucian in Talking 2049 in Singapore was a huge surprise. And the surprise was that back then, being a part of another ecosystem, we had several thoughts of how actually this new technology, blockchain technology, can become useful into the financial world through, of course, the blood of the financial world, which is payments. And then with the discussion of Lucian and Daniel back then, I was realizing every time I was telling them, guys, we would love to have like a card where you can, use it to, to spend your cloud money into the grocery. It was like, we have it. I was like, what? You do? Okay, great. Then next surprise was, and by the way, it would be nice, to move, from crypto to fiat and backwards in a seamless and very much regulated way. Why? Because we have to do with payments. And the guys go, yes, we have it. I was like, what? And again, I was surprised again. And then, next it was like, and it would be very nice, I go to a grocery or merchant, any merchant, either on the web or, down the streets. And I say, what, I want to pay with my, again, cloud crypto, wallet. And the guys were like, yes, we have that as well. I was like, wow. And the surprise was that, the amount of work was done on the product side and on the regulatory side was, and I think still is, ahead, not compared to other European entities or, payment infrastructure, but globally. Because now we see all the global players in payments, they are moving towards this narrative, which is how we can actually expand and grow our footprint into means of payments that they were not before available. And that's why, the amount of work has been done already is immense. Now, of course, if you ask, everybody, what is growth, what is expansion, what is this, what is that, everybody comes with a different definition. But, what everybody understands is that, okay, fantastic. We have a solid technology. We have invested a lot of time, effort, and of course, resources, which are scarce. That's why we, the economists, have a job, try to find through scarcity some solutions. And so you realize that, okay, fantastic. And then we want to grow. How can we grow that into more communities that are out there and they want to use the infrastructure? And not only more communities in terms of numbers, but also in terms of regions. MultiversX and the current infrastructure is super strong in Europe. And in my humble opinion, is the best technology right now of that kind in Europe. However, our ambitions are not stopping there. Growth means we grasp more people and the consumers around the globe, and of course in different regions outside Europe. Of course, the first question would be, okay, fantastic, guys, but how are you going to do that? We have solutions. There are solutions in the market. We know how to do it. Why? Because there's so much already work done that we know the path that we can follow and get there. And of course, expansion then it's, like having like a very strong, huge tree, and you're trying, to, grow its branches. And so the tree and the roots are the multiverse community that has, this amazing, talent. And that talent has, grown both the community, but also the awareness of how that technology can be used to everyday, uses.
And I think what we've been discussing during the last few days, both internally and externally, is we've almost had this great giants of technology that we somehow gotten used to, and we don't see them to the extent that they are. And I think with this effort and the coming days' efforts and so on, what we're doing is essentially starting to use the technology, the ecosystem, in a really almost offensive way, not only defensive way. Like going outside and thinking, so how do we make that business work? What do we give? What do we take? How do we actually make those revenue go through the roof in some sense? And this is, I feel, what you've been sharing. And this is also where we connected very well. Because at the end of the day, there have been very hard times in the past, for instance, especially in Europe with regulations and so on. And it's a remarkable exception that we've gotten through with the licenses. And we've set this almost records within Europe. And now I believe we're at the time where also good times are coming. Good times are visible. And we are here to seize them and to make that opportunity a reality for this ecosystem.
And I would add, Beniamin, that, actually what you managed to do is to actually reverse what people think. People many times think, okay, regulation is a barrier. What you did is that you flipped that and you actually created a regulation as an opportunity. And now that you see the globe moving into more regulation, into this in the blockchain space, guess what? We're the most prepared. That's why it was very easy to set up like our teams to increase our robustness in the systems, increase scalability, and of course increase the awareness of global regulation. And that becomes from the knowledge that you had acquired already, because that was the path that was the one that we had to walk, and it was very well defined already. That if you want to go far, you have to have like a certain understanding of the regulation and of course what you want to do.
Exactly.
And you see now the globe, everybody is actually trying to find a way to do what you have done 5 years ago.
I think it's a very fortunate position to be today, to be able to and afford, on the other hand, to invest so much in the future, to run ahead of everybody, And if you're lucky, as an entrepreneur, mostly, only if you're lucky,
Still be alive to
and-
catch the times.
yes, to catch the times to, and yeah, I think this is about today's where we are. I think if I indeed how you both have iterated, the investment done, the progress made, the opportunity and the kind of the technology and the opportunity specifically of connecting those two worlds and the value of the ecosystems that actually, or the worlds that we are bridging with the xMoney technology is one of a kind. And one of a kind, just in if those days are considered tough days for the market, and we're bridging a $4 trillion asset class with the other one, I think it's a humble day one. I think this is something that makes me smile a bit, just when putting it in simple words.
And maybe coming even closer to, we've also thought, how do we find a way to not only acknowledge the contribution that the MultiversX community had, that the xMoney community had, the type of time and focus and so on that have been invested in this, but as we prepare for growth, how do we almost celebrate that moment and make it something that we're proud of, both internally, and we're proud to state and to share also externally? Not almost as these people that have forgotten what they have just because of how painful the times have been and so on, but actually these people that are aware that others have taken trade-offs to integrity, to just playing the casino games, just doing this type of things that in the short term may work for you, but the investments you do in this type of infrastructure that is regulated, that is putting integrity at the foundation of everything you're doing. This is where everyone is coming right now. The world has woken up to that. And this is the conversation today where we thought, okay, we've done all of this. We've invested all this time. So how do we make this very intentional for the MultiversX community to tap into some of it? Because in some sense, we already offer a lot of value just through everything you were mentioning. The fact that we do have cards and they're live. The fact that we do have on-ramps and they're live. The fact that we do have off-ramps and they're live. The fact that we're also offering solutions to merchants. This may seem like common sense things, but trust us, they're not common sense things. When we started working on them, all of this seemed like a very vanguard ideas that people thought were extremely difficult and we should not do and so on. And today we have all of that live. And we're now even more intentional into using them as weapons for adoption, for bringing new people in, for bringing new businesses in, and even bringing builders that tap into them and get them out into all the products that they have. And maybe to do this, I'll also invite Greg to
Yes.
share something specifically on this.
Yes, and just to double down on what Beniamin said, what we have in front of us is we have like an increased in dramatic rates interest of consumers and people on the blockchain technology. And of course, this might come from everywhere, any type of activity or interaction that they have with this new world. Should we, let our community without steam to grasp this new interest? The answer is no. And in order to show our interest in the community and also the deep belief that builders have to adapt and also have the resources to actually grasp these opportunities, we have decided, and this is something we are very proud of, to put in the workings growth fund that will actually give the right resources in the right timing to actually materialize this grasp of growth and expansion. And I think that is super important. And the community that has built so much for so long, it's the least we can do in order to show our gratitude and also show our support that we want them now to be even more active and more engaged. And we will not deprive them from resources.
100%. Maybe Lucian, if you want to add a few points on
definitely. So I'm extremely excited. I think if I look at xMoney as a protocol, in order for protocol growth to happen, as this kind of protocol is a different play compared to most of the general Web3 plays. This one has very deep roots into you as a user, you as a builder. And this is actually perhaps the only bridge that connects in a meaningful way the reality with the future of what this industry builds. And today we're doubling down on that. This is what it means. We're here to actually offer the MultiversX ecosystem for the builders that actually are building on top of the xMoney technology and is aligned with the growth of the xMoney product as platform, here to give all the support. And actually that's what I think from my perspective the growth fund means today, and I'm really, really excited about. Of course, this would not limit here and this will not stop here, but I think it is a very important milestone achieved for what we as xMoney actually platform.
Mm-hmm. And to also perhaps restate, the simple point is we want growth. How do we get growth? We get growth through tapping into other markets, tapping into other communities, tapping into other builders.
Other regions.
Other regions, exactly. And we do so by setting some pots for people to compete for, to tap into, because at the end of the day, simply put, translated, we want more revenue, we want more volumes, we want more processing, both on the crypto side, on the fiat side. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from people on things that we might want to add, improve, feedback from businesses, for instance, in the market. But this is extremely useful and extremely valuable as a moment, because we're saying, hey, there's some very talented builders here that have been building, have been aligned with the ecosystem. And for them, we're setting this type of challenge where we want to say, hey, let's take the volumes to the next level. Let's take the integration in your products, whether that's DEXs, whether that's DeFi, whether that's just any type of application where you want to on-ramp, off-ramp something or use this type of technology. All of this can tap into the xMoney platform and can make it grow. And by doing so, you can yourselves tap into this growth fund. Now, as a timing, I think people will tend to always ask when, whatever you're stating. And most likely you'll hear some detailed view on this probably with the next quarter.
Yes, this is our goal, to make it as fast as possible, because we see the opportunity now, as we have discussed. And if you want to grasp the opportunity, it is preparing also for the opportunity to be grasped. Is, some people call it luck, but it's actually where opportunity meets preparation. So we have to make sure that the community has the resources to grasp that. And if I may add one point, Beniamin, I mean, people when they talk about payments and they understand payments, we're talking about a commodity. Let's put it like that. So if you want to innovate, or if you want to grow, you have to innovate. This is the only way. You have to differentiate yourselves somehow. We have laid, and the community has laid for many years, the grounds that now can be used in order to create those applications or smart solutions or smart processes that actually can differentiate us globally. And then it's obvious that when you go with an innovative and differentiated product, then you can grasp the market share that belongs to you. Competition, peaceful. But you know what? You want to compete with your local payment system in, let's say, a small a region, or you want to compete with big guys globally. I prefer the second. I take the challenge, and I think all of us, the three of us here, we're here to take these challenges. And I also think that this community is for that kind of challenges.
100%. 100%. I think you maybe wanted to add something on this.
I mean, just as to double down on the bigger play. While listening to this, it was just almost, if I look at the macro sentiment of what this technology, where the blockchain technology is actually being plugged almost every day, supercharged to that, and what's almost the peak. So if NASDAQ has a competition with markets on chain, I wonder how the liquidity moves to on-chain. And I think this is a very good opportunity to restate that I think xMoney is here to do that at a global scale. I think this is in any form.
Yes.
I think there are quite no other routes where this money, this value can be transferred and interconnected between the two worlds.
And I think the idea of looking at the channels, the on-ramps, the off-ramps, the cards, just exchange, those are just different means to the same idea.
Yeah.
Of course, maybe one point that everyone will always jump to from the community will be stablecoins in some sense. So whenever we say xMoney, people will come back and ask, so what's happening here? What's going on with that and so on. And so maybe I'll ask you, Greg, perhaps a bit just on how you look at this type of process. How does it look maybe behind the scene a bit? And how do you look at the steps? Just giving the people a bit of perspective, because it's always a fine line of what you can always share and not share between these conversations with regulators and so on. But I believe that it's almost very useful for people to at least have some reference point, because then they can walk the mile with you. They can maybe open up some doors and come with some ideas and feedback. So please.
So, the first thing that comes to my mind is, I hear Lucian saying, oh, we have that as well. Yes, we do. We are in the process of, building this as well. And we're in a very good, state with, the regulators. I have to admit that that's one of the holy grails of payments. And that's why it's so heavily regulated. And that's why we're so careful. Because when you are not careful, then things might, turn, against you very fast. We are, in the final stages of being able to complete this project. However, our main goal, again, is distribution. How we can use this in practice and actually how we can make it useful. And here it's what, again, to my great surprise and the surprise of the team is that how far, xMoney has gone already, which has already the environment to actually deploy that, which is the merchants, because we also do acquiring, right? So we have like the payments of merchants, and of course there you can go and talk to them in their language, which is they don't understand. I mean, having payments for them is like getting paid for the product or the service they sell. So you have to make it easy for them. And that's our, that's where innovation comes and new technologies. How can I make it very easy for them? And so the stable coin infrastructure is making it very easy for money to move. But because it's so regulated, it has to be done in a very tamed way and in accordance with the new regulations that they're in place, which is MiCA. MiCA was seen in the beginning as a very big, backstep. To my humble opinion, it's a huge opportunity. And I'm pretty sure that, once, products deploy in the markets, and hopefully will be from the first ones, that we don't just say, oh, we just created another cross, but actually show how this can be used in everyday life, that's the goal. Not just announcing, oh, I have a new stablecoin. Congratulations, and what do you do with it? I mean, you can play Monopoly, but it won't be very easy, very useful in your everyday life. So that's where xMoney and this community differentiates. We want things that they work for the people, and that's why it takes us time. And of course, we're very careful with regulation, because once you start, getting things into the consumer, then you have interaction with a super heavily regulated environment. But that's what differentiates us as well. And we expect that, by the end of the year, by Q3, Q4, actually, we will also have a very solid, product to deploy in the market, which is very much anticipated, believe it or not. And you know that better than me. There's so many, people out there, and not only individuals, but mainly merchants, that are asking us every day, guys, when are you going to be there ready? Because they understand that we understand what it means to have like another mean of payment, and not just an announcement about the cross.
I'll add one point. And speaking about merchants, I think there is also something that we are very, very excited and proud at the same time of what we achieved. And over the period of xMoney, we already onboarded more than 20,000 merchants that are ready and production ready to deploy the new solution that we are actually continuously developing and have been working on for a very long time. If it is stable,
that's a mic drop. That's a mic drop right there.
But pausing here and just doubling down that I think
take it in. Feel free to take it in. And just to also mention a bit what Greg was mentioning, because I think this part of something being regulated means very different things to very different people.
True.
But to understand it very plainly, money and the people who manage money and play with money are the people who always wield a lot of power. And this is why they're heavily regulated. Regulated, what does it mean? It means that everyone looks at everything you're doing. You cannot move a pen from here to there without you writing a report about it. You cannot think of an idea, announce an idea, put a button on your website. This is not a technology problem. It has been very hard and at first very frustrating until we understood that this is not a technology problem, that I could, let's say, not sleep not eat one night, and then I can build everything. It doesn't mean anything. If I offer it to the people, I land in jail. Why do I land in jail? Because I want to do something good. Well, because I'm not allowed to offer it to the people, because the people who look at this deem it not safe, not secure, and deem it too risky for them. So in the mind of the regulators, the most important idea is risk, and risk for the consumers. Whenever you understand this part, all of a sudden this flips a switch and you say, so can I start tomorrow? Tomorrow I go to the regulators. Imagine this conversation. And I say, guys, we're ready. We have the team ready. We've written the documents. We have the stable coin. We want it to be launched tomorrow. What do you think? The guys will do a heart attack. We'll have a heart attack with us there. And then we'll say,
this is very concerning. Beniamin. What you're telling me, this is very concerning.
This is very concerning. And when someone is telling you this is very concerning, what they're telling you is, please go out, send me a letter about this happening. You're considering to do something like this in 1 month, and let me take it in. Give me some time to understand. Take me by the hand. Have these conversations with me. And just imagine how we are discussing things, right? People on Twitter throwing these ideas around. Hey, do this, do that, change this button here, do this other thing. The world doesn't work like that. The world works in this way where you have taken the time, you have shown that you're serious, you have invested the money on doing things the right way. And through that, you build the relationship to be allowed to issue something.
And if I may add,
Please.
Benjamin, to say that actually the way that xMoney is designed is actually to take from either from the consumer or the innovator or the user to take this burden away. They should care about the usefulness of the product. They should care about the usefulness of what they build. They shouldn't care about what's going on with if this is kosher or not. This is xMoney's job. That's exactly what we do. We offer the people, a platform where they can use any mean of payment without worrying, okay, now do I integrate that in my website and can I accept, crypto payments? Is it safe? Yes, that's our job. That's why we're here. That's the infrastructure that we have built. And that's why now that we have done this very tedious work, which honestly took me like another PhD to do in payments because they're so complex. Only, a pricing, manual of one of the schemes is 1,000 pages. I mean, imagine how much, all the teams have gone through. So what I'm trying to say is that, this xMoney platform now, it's ready for scalability, growth, expansion. And our promise, if I may say to the community, is that we will do everything that comes to our hands to make this successful, this expansion. By partnering with the right people, with the right platforms, with the right vendors, with the right communities. That's exactly why we're here. And of course, as we said, we wait for the community to, be with us and help us do that.
And maybe on exactly on this point, so synthesizing, we've said that xMoney is sort of the global payment rails for fiat and crypto on the one hand. It is also the infrastructure for merchants to use this type of technology, to use this type of payments and tap into this trust that we enable for them.
Magic word.
And trust is indeed almost the umbrella that enables users, that enables merchants, that enables businesses to come in, take this technology and use it. Now, one thing that I think is also useful to define a bit is what are the potential channels, the potential steps that we can do to grow outside of the narrow niche where we are right now.
Yeah.
In other words, how do we tap into other groups of people, into other groups of businesses, into other volume flows? Because this is the lifeblood of everything that we're building. So curious.
That's the as we say the $1 million question, right? And
1 billion.
1 billion. Okay, I'm with you. You got me. So here,
my humble contribution
to the community.
Yes.
So here we have what we have to do. I think, Benjamin, is we have to be smart, and smart in what sense? Right now there are different communities and different, and each community has its own footprint in a certain type of people or certain regions. If we are smart enough and we have built a technology that can scale and actually can be used for other communities, then we should go for it. That's exactly what we should do. We should make available the born and build MultiversX technology for every other community that is there and is willing to use it. Because that's a smart way to do. And just to give you a very small, very simple example, is that there might be some other communities that they have attracted new incomers into this technology for different reasons. Because they liked, a gaming platform that was using this technology. Maybe they liked some DeFi protocol that this technology had. And maybe there was some technology other like that appeals to e-commerce. Fantastic. That's great, but do these technologies or these platforms have this amazing payment solution that xMoney has developed? No. Okay, here we are. Use our technology. You don't have to go through this huge investment and time. Use an xMoney technology that is again born and actually built from the MultiversX community, and use it in your own community. That's, I think, is the smart move here that we have to do.
And I think you're capturing the essence very, very well, because whenever people think about the product that they love, they really don't care about anything at all. They want the product. Like,
Exactly.
does someone ask, is this website built on Google Cloud or on AWS or on something else? No, they just care that the product works, that it's valuable, and it brings them some value. And if they have that, they'll be very, very excited about that. And I think this idea that MultiversX is the originator, is almost the roots of this tree that we've built with xMoney. And now xMoney will have roots going into many, many directions and ecosystems. The question is, for instance, how do we tap into the Asian markets? How do we tap
Huge.
into the US markets?
Huge.
And we'll almost let you, again, come with some ideas precisely because I think very few people see how large the US markets are or the Asian markets. And then some ideas of what does that mean? Because in practice, let's say people think that you go there and you just grab these fruits that are hanging on the street.
That's a very nice analogy. And it's not like that at all, as we know all. You have to have a strategy, and also you have also to have like the right, let's say, level of understanding of what you're doing. So the other people that you are talking to, they understand that you are competent enough, so they can partner with you. People think that you'll just land in the US or land in Asia, and everybody will love you. Why? Because you have a fantastic product. It doesn't go like that. You have to go through a process where you prove to the counterparties there that actually you know what you're doing. And of course, afterwards, it's very easy because they understand that, you have something that we don't have. Okay, fine. If you need to get regulated there, then you'll have to find the right partner in order to offer your products. If you want to tap on communities, you have to find the right communities that are very strong there. And we are very strong in Europe. So in some sense, what we do is we expand in a way that is mutually beneficial for everybody. So the way to do that is with a very strict strategy, to come back and answer your question, and also with a very, very well understanding of the markets we go. You cannot go and land in desert and have with you or ski. I mean, you have done something wrong. You have to.
There's a type of skiing that skis on
deserts.
sand.
Okay, so that you have to have that type of equipment.
Yes,
Because you have to do the research before you go there. And the same goes for the other. How I mean, Europe is one of the let's say more advanced regions in the world, right? Speaking of income, it's probably top 3. But you understand that there are other players also that they want to come here and they're looking for the right partners. So it's two ways.
Yes.
So you want to tap on US, you have to have the right knowledge and the right partners. And I have to say that we're very, very, very well equipped for there, and we have done the right steps. And the community will be super happy when it sees our steps there. But on the other hand, what we have done, we have created the right perception, I think, and the expectation for players outside Europe. Yet xMoney is the right partner for Europe.
And I think you're, again, spot on what it means to tap into these new markets, but then also what it means to do some business together. Because I think this is the essence here. So, for instance, why, just a question for the community, why do you think we wanted someone in xMoney that has not only had this economics background, the payments background, but specifically what was also planted in the heart of one of the respectable communities in the world, SUI? And with the founders, we've met several times, we've had some cool conversations. Why? Because this is how you don't do stuff alone. This is how you find strategic things through which you onboard other communities, you think about some next steps, and so on. And I think immediately people will always, for instance, ask when it comes to stable coins, hey, Suppose xMoney grows and it goes far and wide. It will be in Europe having a stable coin, then at some point maybe it goes into some other places of the world and some other communities. Does this mean that it's stuck on one chain? Does it mean that, for instance, it will use the MultiversX chain, it will use these other chains and so on? And I'll just state one thing. If you look at Tether, if you look at USDC, if you look at some of these other stable coins, what do they do? And then why do they exist first on one chain, then on two chains, then on three chains? Because at the end of the day, those are very agnostic. So it's good to have these partnerships, but they're the partnerships exactly as how you mentioned. I want to tap into merchants. I'm going here. I want to tap into Asia. I'm going here. I want to tap into the US. I'm going here. It's not a one size fits all. Is what do I get by going with this guy? Giving him something and taking something for myself, taking something for the community. And I think this, and I'll let you complement here, the point is not us migrating into other ecosystems, but getting something very sexy here to bring everyone on board of where we're going. The kind of train that we're driving, that we're going, should be the one that brings in people from here, from there, from all the other interesting communities, because once they're in the train, they'll bring some other people. They'll tell some other friends. And next thing you know, you're in all the relevant conversations. So the idea of the Trojan horse and maybe the idea of Greg coming from this type of different settings, not only the crypto setting, I think is the idea that we're looking to leverage, that we're looking to attack with, and that you'll see many interesting steps with. But maybe you want to add something on this front, or Lucian, feel free.
The one thing I want to add is that also if you are like, let's say, a merchant and you want to sell something, you want to partner with Amazon. Why? Because Amazon has, 2 million merchants. Yes, competition, fantastic. But at the same time, it, prevails to hundreds of millions of consumers. So what is the question here? Do we want MultiversX to be ranked in one of the top 10, communities in the world for their, understanding on payments on the one hand, or some other technology that's coming? Or we want to remain in our, silos, hidden in, in the mountains? I think that everybody wants we make it big. And the only way you can make it big and fast is you find some way. Sui community is one of them, that is equally well equipped and competent and has the technical, substance, so that you can, partner with. Because again, it goes two ways. You don't choose, these big communities. They also choose you because of your competence and your ability. So that goes both ways. This is what everybody has to understand. It's not a one way, oh my God, we're going to lose everything. No, you're going to gain everything because you are growing with the best and you're becoming the best.
And please,
I wanted to just build on top of that. So if xMoney is an infrastructure play, infrastructure has only value if this technology is being adopted and used, and it is actually as close as possible to merchants, as close as possible to users, as close as possible to investors, as close as possible to contributors and builders on top of that. And in order to do that, I think this is the only way to expand. This is actually what, whenever any kind of next step is being added and being done, actually this is the question: where does it add value? Which of those steps is actually being complemented? And this is exactly, I think, what defines, in very simple words, what we're talking about here, right? I think.
Totally agree with you.
And the point to take it home now is that we'll do this repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly until there's no one else to capture. There's no one else to bring in. Because actually this is what we're stating here is very common sense. So there's many lessons that you go through life too many years. and then you learn, and then you wonder, like, if I understood that, why do, for instance, people in the US, taking just one example, why do they not discuss about the technology? Well, until they're not aligned, they don't have a piece of it. They don't have a part of the stake, the conversation. You don't exist. That's very simple. That's very simple human nature. And I think you very much understand this part, because once you align them, then magically you're not only existent, you're at the right table, you have the right conversations, and for a technology and a kind of regulatory set of assets and so on, the only thing that we want is this type of conversation, not the stuff where we're among ourselves and we're with the same people and we're just saying among ourselves, hey, we're the best. But we want others to test it, to take a look and to say, I'm surprised. Yeah, as you were saying, like, I want to do this. And then someone says, you know, xMoney has that. Oh, really? I want to do this. Oh, xMoney has that. And once you go through 3-4 steps like that, you say, this is either the best thing that I can use immediately, or I almost need to buy that. How can I get in touch? How can I do the right kind of conversation? And I feel that's what we wanted from xMoney. That's what we want right now. And in fact, that's what the entire community actually wants, because this is how we win.
Have a line here, which is the following. XRP, what was trying was connect, banks. xMoney is going to connect Web3. This is our vision.
Boom.
Let's do it.
Boom.
Let's do it. Did you want to, I think you also wanted
Yes,
to add something specifically.
I would rather leave 2 seconds of silence for everybody to
take it in.
Take it in. But no, just building on top of that, I think specifically on what brings value and what grows value. Actually, if I go back to Tether or back to any stablecoin platform, to any kind of platform, it is because specifically it partnered with the most relevant chains that allow this technology, their value to be distributed in the right hands, to be put in the right hands of the right builders, that allowed this to grow. And only because of that, I think perhaps one of the most critical points for each of those projects or companies, giants, how would you want to be called, was particularly that. So excited for what you're telling me, guys, is pretty interesting, I would say.
So then what you're actually saying is xMoney is not only the payment processor and the infrastructure to tie the merchants together, but it will also move toward the direction of connecting any type of networks, whether that's networks of merchants, networks of people, networks of builders that can add value, that can come here, take this, and make it their win. And I feel that's the type of thing that we'll discover. Of course, it started on MultiversX. The community will always play a very key role at the heart of this. And we'll also probably, as we make progress, we'll have Greg and the team share updates, as you've probably seen the past few weeks. But it does feel like we're at this very important macro inflection point where it's finally legal to do the things that we're stating we're doing.
For years.
Yes, we've been doing them for years, but in some parts of the world, they were not quite legal. You could not state them as they were. Now it's not only legal, but people are preparing to make this very significant leaps with businesses, with capital, with users. And for that, xMoney, not in the future, but today, has delivered this type of services to 20,000 merchants, to users around the world in these different applications. And this is just day one. This is indeed just the start of a conversation that we're having together where we're sharing a bit of a context on what's happening behind the scene, how we're thinking, how Greg and the team has been pursuing and processing this type of stuff, but then also how we want you to see this journey, to think about the different communities, to almost pick what would be the top 3 communities that you'd maybe want to attack, as in bring together on board. Tap something because they have learned something or they have some valuable resource. That's always the type of thing that we want to look at, we want to learn from, because in this moment, xMoney is live, it's working, and it's just starting to gain that type of momentum where it leverages what it has been building for years now. I see Lucian and Greg smiling, so maybe you want to add a one line.
Not sure if I should share what I had in mind. It's a joke, but in this case, bigger is better.
So,
100%.
Let's do it.
100%. So, guys, it's really great to have you with us, to have the MultiversX community and the xMoney community very passionate, driving some of these subjects, writing about them, sharing them, using the technology, coming with ideas and feedback, and also preparing for growth. I think the keyword that you'll hear in almost every conversation that we're having is, now that we've done cleanup, now that we've done and put the things in place, now it seems the right environment, the right weather makes growth finally acceptable, desirable, and we're going to attack it and share it with you, and with love to hear your thoughts as we discover all of that. Greg, if you want to maybe leave some last notes for the community until the next conversations.
What can I say? I mean, as I said, my first reaction to the community was a surprise, a positive surprise. Also today is a surprise in the sense that I pretty much see a lot of interest for what we're doing and a lot of anxiety, and that's good because people are asking what you're doing, how you're doing it. And of course, one thing I want to tell them is that, we are builders, as you are, but in a different sense. We have to build some stuff that they pertain to regulation, processes, procedures. But, we are here as builders as well. And what we're doing, as I said, we're building the Web3 the payments for the payments infrastructure for Web3. Is it easy? No. Is it, fast like that? No. But is it challenging? Yes. And I think, the best communities like MultiversX and or other communities that we will, be partners with, for example, SUI, they will play and they will form the future. The future, as Socrates used to say, is formed from those that they prepared.
I mean, we can only strive and maybe add some complementary notes to Socrates and Aristotle and Plato and this great mind. But the point is, you now have more context. It's up to you to come with some ideas, come with some feedback, think it through. And this is how we discover many new paths, many conversations. And this time is for growth, expansion, and long-term relevance. So we're very excited to actually share this, plant the roots really deep within MultiversX, have some of that growth fund, challenge the people to build some more, to accelerate the volumes, and then just do one step and another step and another step. Sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you don't need to discuss about 10 steps. You just need one good step, bring it home, and then the next day you'll be amazed because the world looks a bit different, a bit better. And this is where we are right now with xMoney. So thanks a lot for being here, and see you sometime in the future to the next conversation.
very soon. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Bye bye.